So I wanted to demo this because I think it's actually pretty interesting, and it's a fantastic level up in the world of agentic coding. So a lot of people have been talking about the death of the IDE, and I think this kind of might be it, right? And so if you've used Coder before, it's you could think of it as like an ephemeral development environment management system. It's basically got a full blown like UI that lets you easily spin up workspaces. Like for example, I have a bunch of templates for different types of workspaces, and then based on the template, and I have one here. Each one of them is mapped to one of the repos that I care about. I can go ahead and just give it a name like foobar. I'm gonna go ahead and run this bad boy in Azure, give it a volume size, and I can even give it my dot files repository so it can clone and install my preferences automatically. And this template also has a ton of configuration. Like it has all the software, that I need to go and like bootstrap, setting up a environment. So it's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice tool. I'm just going to go ahead here and go ahead and create a workspace really fast. What's that? Foo. Yeah, it's great. Create that workspace. And that's all, nice, right? It goes and it uses Terraform behind the scenes to go and deploy a new workspace in the cloud. And so, it's got the whole kind of state tracking and management of those workspaces built in. And once, something comes up, it's kind of nice because I can actually go in and even through my browser, I'm able to do things like, get a terminal going, right? Where, I can even run, commands on that system through my web browser. I can even run a VS Code instance in my browser, and, I could switch over into the repository maybe that I care about. So here I'll switch into the Git repo, and then I can even look at, the files inside. I can see what's going on with Git. And that's kind of nice. And then, you also got a file browser, so you can poke around here, upload stuff. And yeah, you got, other buttons. And this button's kind of nice. I can actually run Claude here inside of my terminal and see what it's doing, and actually go ahead and I actually had it go plan something. It looks like it wants to go delete a bunch of stuff. So I'll say, yeah, sure. Switch over to control mode, hit enter, and then, yep, there it goes. It's running there. But one thing that they launched recently, which I think is kind of a secret superpower, is this thing called Tasks. They launched it December 3rd, and it's got this cool UI where now, instead of you managing the workspace, instead what you're thinking about is like, well, what I want to do next, and like which repository do I want to do it on, right? And so on this one, I know I have a task tracking system here in the backend repo, so I'm going to say, hey, can you check beads, BD command, and tell me what's next? And I hit go, and then boom, guess what's happening? Behind the scenes, it's starting up a workspace. And I click into that, and you can see this workspace is booting up. But look at this. I can actually see the other tasks that I have running. And let's see here. I can actually switch between these tasks, and I could see the Claude Code thing running, but right next to it, I can see the actual file system of what's going on underneath. I can see my VS Code instance. So, right now, let's see what's going on. The system, or Claude, is attempting to delete, I think, an old directory here. So it's going and removing all the stuff. Fantastic. And I think it just cleaned up a bunch of stuff. So let's see what this commit looks like. Yeah, you can see like it deleted a bunch of old state, and now we've got this issues.json. And I've got a terminal so I can poke around here, right? So like, blah, 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 the working directory, who am I, right? Like you've got a whole development environment here. And I can even run a terminal over here too if I want. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I think you should use it.